Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from first group. We would like present about the material, patterns of organization and supporting details. With me, Ilfania Thuzachra Rama Dhanti, I will guide you to understand part 1. And part 2 will be explained by Devi Silviana. Part 3 will be explained by Hasriyulian Fikri. And the last part will be explained Saiful Amin. Organization patterns are important for a reader to recognize because they reveal how an author arranged the information in the passage, which allows you, the reader, to understand the skeleton of the piece of writing, the bones that support the flesh of the reading. This skeleton is knowing several names: organization patterns, authors' writing patterns, and writing structure. In reading class, patterns of organization is the most common name. So how to view patterns of organization? Patterns of organization can also see the relationship between ideas in sentence. There are 4 ways see a patterns of organization. From large to the smaller perspective. Think of outside rings as the most general overall patterns. The inside rings is the most detailed or specific patterns. So how to view patterns of organization? Patterns of organization can also see the relationship between ideas in sentence. There are 4 ways see a patterns of organization from the large to the smaller perspective. Think outside rings as the most general overall patterns. The inside ring is the most detailed or specific patterns. There is quick tips benefit of recognizing patterns of organization. Learning how to recognizing patterns of organization in reading will help you. Number 1. Comprehend the material. Number 2. Process the information into your memory. Number 3. Retrieve the information learned from your long-term memory. Number 4. Understand how to structure your notes or graphic organizers, such as outline, charts, web, summarize, to study the information. Number 5. Understand what probable question you will be asked on the test. Number 6. Understand how to structure written response to test question. And what function do patterns of organization serve? Patterns of organization function to provide a structure to reading, a subsection, a paragraph, or interrelationship between ideas and sentence in paragraph. Patterns of organization also help you determine the main details. These main details in reading are called supporting details because they support the author's point about the topic. The role of transition words. What do you already know about transition words? You are already familiar with all transition words used in college writing. For example, consider the transition words for antonym context clues, unlike, instead, but, however, on the other hand, rather, and conversely. These are transition words. Transition or signal words are words or phrases written used to introduce the readers to the thought patterns. or patterns of organization in the writing and between ideas within the writing. Transition words then link ideas in a logical progression from one ideas to the others. Transition words, also called signal words.
Supporting details. In paragraphs about transition words and phrase, several main points were made. You could ask question, what is the role of transition words? And this would be your answer. Number 1. They show the relationship with a sentence, with a paragraph, with a reading. 2. They introduce supporting details. 3. They help ideas flow more smoothly in writing. 4. They improve understanding between connected thought and indicate a logical organization between the ideas in a reading. 5. They facilitate the comprehension of these ideas to connect more smoothly in your mind while reading. Point 1 talk 5 supporting details that back up the overall points of the paragraph about the topic still the role of transition words. Major and minor details. Major details are main points that support the overall point in the reading. Minor details are more specific points and support the major points, usually by providing examples of the major details. Categories of organizational patterns. There are three main categories of organizational patterns. Pattern that list, random order list, like simple listening, specific order list, like order of importance, chronological orders, sequence or process order, and special order. Patterns that explain, like example or illustration or clarification, definition, example, and description. Patterns that analyze, like division or classification, cause or effect, problem and solution, cover and contrast. Pattern that list. Number 1. Supporting details. Simple lists mean that the items the author list can be arranged in any order and still make sense. Signal words. Pattern of organization. Simple links. Signal words like also, another, in addition, first, second, third, for example, and punctuation. Order of importance, the signal word like most important, finally, and primary. Chronological order, first, second, third, next, then, after, later, this, after, afterwards. Sequence or process order, first, second, next, then, after, later, finally, initially, follows, followed by, the first stage, step, and the final step. Special orders, to the left, to the right, above, below, next to, around, opposite, ahead, north, south, east, west, continuing from, near, beside, further, originate, and endpoint. Number 2. Supporting details in a specific order. Order of importance or emphatic order means the item in the list need to be in specific order to convey the author's point. Number 3. Chronological orders. Chronological orders or time orders show how something unfolds over time.
Sequence or process order. The difference between chronological order and sequence or process order is the subject matter. In sequence or process order, the author uses stage or step rather than a clear timeline in hours, weeks, or days. Relaxation is a powerful technique for reducing stress. To relax your mind and body, first, sit in a straight back chair or lie on your back. Second, close your eyes and imagine every muscle of your body relaxing, from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Third, as you imagine this relaxation, concentrate on breathing slowly, deeply, and steadily, with your mouth closed. Fourth, imagine the solution to your problem as already resolved, giving you a deep and profound sense of peace. 5. Spatial or place order. Spatial or place order show an organized format for describing or making point about something. Usually, a three-dimensional space, such as a place, this organization allows the point to be made in a coherent, structured fashion. Example: continuing from the brain stem at the back of the brain structure and near the base of the spinal cord is the amygdala. 6. Patterns that explain. Patterns that explain include example or illustration on or clarification, definition, and description. This pattern allows an author to make a point, and then elaborate on or further explain that point to make sure the reader understands. You can see Table 2.2, transition or signal words that indicate patterns that explain. Pattern of organization, example, or illustration or clarification. For example, signal word. For example, to illustrate, to clarify. For instance, in other words, that is to say, to put it another way. 2. Definition and example. Punctuation following a boldface term. Dash, comma, colon, parenthesis, italic of term is defined as, is known as, means is. 3. Description. Adjective that describe. Nice, colorful, misty, gloomy. To support the dominant impression, feeling, about the topic. Sample 7. Example or illustration. Example or illustration or clarification occurs when an author makes a point, usually complex point, and use the rest of the paragraph to make sure the reader see the importance of the point. 8. Definition and example. Definition and example is commonly used in concept-dense text or writing with many complicated ideas. This pattern is useful for stating a concept or the meaning of a word and then providing example to further explain the concept. The key term itself is often in special print such as boldface, italic, or color.
Okay, after the definition and example, we come to the next explanation is the description. Description is used when author describe a person, place, or thing with this pattern. The author uses sensory details to paint a mental picture for the reader of the subject to create a dominant impression. Okay, next is patterns that analyze. Patterns that analyze a division or classification, cause and effect, problem, solution, comparison, and contrast. You can see the table 2.3, transition signal words that indicate pattern that analyze. There are classification, pattern of organization, signal words. The first, division and classification. Division and classification pattern simplify a difficult concept by breaking down the complex idea into manageable parts or categories. Example, there are two types of intermediate memory processing, short-term and working memory, to cause and effect. Cause and effect patterns show cause of a situation or phenomenon, or the effects or result or a situation or phenomenon to show the relationship between ideas. Some passage might show BPTH, age, causes and effect. Example, the human capacity for Daniel is boundless, and the effects of refusing to see the truth are overpowering. The third comparison contrasts similarities and or difference between two or more concepts or entities. The paragraph or passage usually emphasize similarities, comparison or difference, contrast. The next, relationship between ideas. Relationship between ideas can be defined as an outer arrangement of supporting details in a reading, often indicated by transition words or phrases that clarify, reflect, and support the most important point. Both approaches involve identifying transition or structural words and phrases that provide clues to the outer structure of pattern of organization. Determining a predominant pattern, even though there may be other patterns in use, making reasonable inferences or educated guesses about how the author is presenting information. You can see the form. There are some steps: overall reading structure of a section of a paragraph between and among sentences. Determining an author's talk pattern is not only useful for understanding all reading of part of a reading, but also for understanding how ideas connect between sentences. Maybe this only our explanation about the pattern of organization. My this explanation can simplify easier our understanding about the critical reading.